Welcome to Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, prescribed by Dr. Harrison. So the other day I was coaching a football game, really good game too. I mean, I was super proud of our boys and the way they played. It was a visible next step in our team evolution. Regardless, that night after we came home from the game, all my kids there, my wife was there. I find out that my oldest son, who's 9, decided to get really testy and lippy and have a snarky, disrespectful, attitude-filled comment towards his mom in the stands in front of like 5 other parents, 2 whom work at the school, and one whose wife is the wife of one of the persons I coach with, another one who's the girlfriend of someone I coach with, and then a family that goes to the school as well. And my wife was in such shock, she couldn't even respond to him at that moment. So she responded when she got home. Now, one, I'm glad I wasn't there. Because had he done something like that in public to disrespect his mom, I might have taken him behind the bleachers. 2, it made me think about a few things when your child does something uncharacteristic in their behavior that you've never seen before. First off, I think the first thing you need to do is stop and think, how old are they? What's been their history, their pattern so far? Well, he's never done anything like that, especially in public. Now, we might have our little, arguments or little issues here at the house, but in public, in front of a bunch of people, that's a new thing, right? And so I thought, well, one, he may just be testing his limits, right? He's getting a little older. He's very smart. And so he's testing the boundaries, testing the waters, seeing what can I say, what can I say, what can I get away with? And if that's the case, you straighten that out, whatever it is, your form of consequence for that behavior, and you move forward. And the other thing I thought was, what did I do or not do as a parent that made him think what he did was okay? And I know you might be thinking like, hold on, well, you didn't do anything. Not quite, right? And you need to think about that when your child does something, because it just doesn't come from anywhere. They learn things. That could be learning from watching TV. So maybe I shouldn't be letting him watch the shows he's watching or supervise and monitor what he's watching on electronics or YouTube or the television. Maybe it's from his peers. Well, maybe I should be better in tune with who he's hanging out with, right? Or maybe it's from me or mom. And I started to think, and I thought to myself, well, we are cautious parents. We do let them engage and kind of fill out the world, but we live in a different world today. It wasn't like when I was a kid where I could get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, hop on my bike, go ride to my friend's house. We'd be gone all day until dinner with no cell phone, no money for a payphone, no food, no nothing, just having a ton of fun, and parents saying, come on back. And this is like late elementary, middle school. Like, it was just a different day back then. You can't do that stuff now, right? So with that being said, I thought to myself, well, we're kind of cautious parents, and his remark had something to do with my wife watching the other boys who are younger, and he didn't curse at her or anything. He was just kind of like, do you even know where your kids are? Do you know what they're doing? Like, what are you paying attention? But he had it in that tone, right? And it was more of a tone of, coming at her instead of being concerned about his brothers, which that was actually the bottom line. He was concerned for his brothers. He felt like dad's up there coaching. I see mom around a bunch of people having a conversation in the bleachers, and here are my 2 other younger brothers running around this high school stadium. Is anyone paying attention? And his heart was in the right place. His mind was in the right place. And where did he get that kind of maybe neurotic, cautious parenting behavior? Well, from us, right? We're the ones who instilled that, especially with like, you're the older brother. Make sure you're paying attention to your brothers. So I realized, one, that it's not that it's not his fault. It's just understandable why he felt that way, even though he's never been put in danger, ever felt hurt, right, with respect to us not watching them, right? 2, it was really his approach, especially his approach in front of other adults. right? Because I mean, let's keep it real. It was kind of embarrassing. And the bottom line, the embarrassment should have no factor in it. It should be more about just his discipline, his kindness, his respect level. But the embarrassment definitely raises the intensity or severity of the violation, right? Of the inappropriate behavior. And so I thought to myself, well, we need to have a conversation with him. He's definitely going to have some consequences. They got some things taken away. He's not allowed, his new friend from down the street isn't allowed to come through. They are being almost retrained in their respectful behavior. We're just putting a stop to anything that seems or could quite seem disrespectful. And I think the part that sucked most was I know he wouldn't dare do that to me in front of people. So he felt like he could do it to his mom, which made me think like, well, then really that's on me. Because what he said easily sounds like something that could have flown out of my mouth. Now, I would never do it in public, but I might in the house be like, do you even know where the kids are? Like, what are you doing? Why are you on the phone? Or why are you working with this over here? Like, the kids are out here playing. So I know that came from me. I know it did. Now, the other part of that is he still did it. I didn't do it. So he still needs some consequences. But in addition to that, I try to find a solution to the problem. Not just a consequence for the bad behavior, but a preventative measure, right? Doing something beforehand to stop all this stuff. And when I talked to him about it, it was just that he wasn't even thinking about what he was saying. He just felt that type of way and he came up and he expressed himself. So I'm glad that he feels comfortable expressing himself. It's how you express yourself and stopping to think for that in a moment. That's social intelligence, the ability to stop and understand how other people are going to perceive things and how you may need to craft your wording so that it doesn't offend people, especially in the day and age that we live in today, right? Like, you just got to be aware of that. And my son, my oldest, is very much like me. A lot of self-chatter, constantly having all these thoughts, talking to yourself about different things, constantly. We do. I know him. I know that about him, and I know that about myself. And for me, the only thing that helped slow down that self-chatter for me was meditation. So he had his consequences for his disrespectful behavior. But then what I also did was, in addition, was you're going to get up a little earlier in the morning. You're going to create your own affirmation statement. You're going to read that to yourself while I read mine to myself. And then we're going to sit and have meditation together. And once we get that routine down, because he does enjoy it, they practice some mindful meditation at school. He does enjoy it. And once we get the routine down, and it's something that is kind of now built into your repertoire and schedule, I'll give you your own space to go meditate in another area, or you can come and join me, whichever you prefer for that day, right? So, bottom line, to break all this down, when your kid does something that's out of the ordinary that you've never seen from them before, right? First off, maybe they're just testing the waters. And that's okay, because everybody should test the waters a little bit. Second off, make sure that they have some sort of consequence, because they are the one who engaged in that inappropriate behavior. So they need to have some consequences to their behavior. Third, stop and take a look at what you've done or haven't done that could have made that to seem okay, made that to seem like it was an okay thing to do. And then check your own behavior, right? I've already checked it to make sure that I'm not talking out the side of my mouth towards my wife in any kind of way, especially in front of the kids. And it's not like I do it and say it all the time, but, we live together. We go back and forth sometimes, but we got to make sure that we're keeping it at a level of civility, which we always do, but one that is about teamwork and not combat, right? So make sure that you do that, and then find some sort of solution to the issue. Now, my solution may not be right. It may not work at all, right? But then we have another issue to deal with. But if I follow those steps of provide the consequence, think about what it is that I can change that maybe that was the model for my kid, and then provide some sort of preventative measure to stop that or curb that later happening in the future, well, then you're doing your job as a parent. But don't just put the blame on them, because they're in your house and you raised them. So I'm taking fault for that one, because I think I could have done a better job of making sure that I'm not talking out the side of my mouth to my wife, their mom, right? Even in a playful manner sometimes, because they can't decipher the sarcasm, right? So I think it's a good way to be with respect to your kids stepping out of bounds. Because you know what? It's going to happen. And you know what? Part of it is on you, part of it's on them. But if both are taking blame and fault and both are working to correct it, well, now you got a team. And what do they say about team? The bottom line of a team is we're family. That's Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. Don't forget to hashtag Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, hashtag 4D, all social media at RebirthBX, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. You can check out the website, rebirthbx.com. Feel free to email me at aharrison@rebirthbx.com. And this is day 2 of my 30-day challenge promise. I'll get back to you guys tomorrow.